Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. Picture the year 1833, the Victorian era. At this time, the Victorians were at the prime peak of the empire. Technology was booming, transportation was booming, and the economy was booming. But at this time, the Victorians started to acknowledge that slavery was evil and unethical. The question was, how can a Christian-based empire support slavery? There were many people who contributed to the end of slavery. One of those persons was Thomas Clarkson. I'm going to call him Tommy. Tommy was the first to speak out against slavery. He wrote how cruel and inhumane slavery was. And next we have Big Willie, William Wilberforce. Big Willie was thought of as the founder of Slavery Act. He was a British politician who campaigned to end slavery. He was the person that submitted the first bill to Parliament to end slavery. Next we have Mr. O, a slave himself who worked until he bought his own freedom. After buying his own freedom, he began campaigning and writing works against slavery. He expressed his experience as a slave. After the campaign started beginning, we started seeing this medallion that was made by Weedwood, an anti-slave medallion, which said, "Am I not a man and a brother?" You start seeing these throughout the British Empire. And Parliament came up with these terms for the Slavery Act. As you see, and most of these terms were for the slaves' rights, but at the same time, it was for also the owners of the slaves, for them to have a compensation for their property to be taken. They had to get some kind of compensation for it. And this is a picture of the slaves who became apprentices. And apprentices were actually still considered slaves, but at the same time they were workers who worked for small wages or even sometimes just for a living wages. These workers also eventually worked for a term of a year's a term for their services. Eventually they can buy their own freedom. One large group that helped the fight against slavery was the Quakers. The Quakers were a religious group that thought that slavery was unethical and they didn't go by the Bible. They did the extremes of doing boycotts. Some boycotts included boycotts against sugarcane. The slaves were set free, but this freedom was over a period of time. It wasn't something done overnight. The governing body knew that if they lose the laborers and their property, it would affect their economy. So it was over a period of time that slaves were set free. I should say it's on slavery. It was on. The chains were broken free. And we're celebrating everyone who contributed to the end of slavery.